Surabaya. The provincial capital of East Java is the second largest city in Indonesia. This city has a huge number of diversities among the people, cultures, and ways of living. Surabaya has been acknowledged for its green public open spaces. It also has successfully equalized the development between build-up area and green area that makes Surabaya a livable city for all.
I see Surabaya as a great city with amazing people.
Living pace here is quite slow, so you don't feel the rush of living in the city.
It's also a good place to travel around. I mean, in bus you can go in many places, or taking train on Java.
It makes me so to be in peace, so I think that is a good place for me to stay.
Surabaya is also known as the City of Heroes because of its role in Indonesia's struggle for independence. Moreover, Surabaya nowadays has already become the center of businesses, commerce, industries, and education in Indonesia. One of the pioneers of education in Surabaya is the Institute Teknologi Sepuluna Pemba, better known as ITS.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to guest lecture series on SDGs today, Tuesday, 24 November 2020. I am Angie from IDEAS Global Engagement and will be a master of ceremony this afternoon. Thank you for joining our GLS today. Before we start our agenda, let me inform you about the webinar protocol. First, please adjust your name or ID screen using format name_university. Second, during the lecture, please turn on mute mode and only turn on the audio when the moderator gives the chance. Third, please fill your attendance at bit.ly/attendance_GLS SDGs. Our committee also send the attendance link in the Zoom chat room. Fourth, participants who wish to ask questions during the question and answer session, please send your question to intip.in/Q&A GLS SDGs. The link for questions listed in the chat room too. Or you can ask directly by using the raise hand feature. Ladies and gentlemen, committed to strengthen international partnership and to provide a world-class learning environment, ITS Indonesia is inviting global students and young researchers to enjoy world-class lectures delivered by world-best lecturers through guest lecture series on UN's Sustainable Development Goals. Today's theme is time management, which will be delivered by our speaker, Ms. Sarah Witte from Baden-Württemberg Cooperative State University, Karlsruhe, Germany. The lecture will be moderated by Octavianti Dwi Wahyurini, Sarjana Teknik, Master of Applied Design and Art, PhD from ITS. Welcome, Ms. Witte, and welcome, Bu Oin.
Thank you, Angie.
Before we proceed to the next agenda, allow me to deliver our schedule today as follows. First, opening, second lecture, third Q&A session for certificate awarding, and the last is closing. Okay, before we go to the next agenda, let me introduce our moderator today. With the theme Octavianti Dwi Wahyurini, Sarjana Teknik, Master of Applied Design and Art, PhD. She got the PhD at Clemson University, USA. Then she got the Master of Applied Design and Art at Curtin University of Technology, Australia, and got the Bachelor at ITS Surabaya. Some professional and working experience of Bu Oin are as a Senior Manager of IDEAS Global Engagement Office in charge for promotion and mobility from 2020 until now, as a President of Fulbright Fellow in Clemson University, USA in 2018 to 2019. From 2013 until 2016, Bowen was a liaison officer for internationalization, and she also has been the head of Visual Communication Design Department of ITS from 2007 until 2009. There is a short profile from Bowen. Without further ado, let's proceed to the main agenda. To Bowen, time is yours.
Okay, thank you so much, Angie, for your wonderful um, introduction. So, before we begin to this session for today, please allow me to introduce our speakers for today. Our speakers today is Ms. Sarah Witte. She is currently the head of international office Duale Hochschule bei den Württemberg Hochschule from Germany. And she had a double degree in German and French studies from Albert Ludwig Universität Regensburg and Université Blaise Pascal Clermont-Ferrand for her Bachelor in Arts. She did an Erasmus exchange semester in Universidad Complutense in Madrid in 2012, and in 2014 she received award Alumni Prix de Philologischen Fakultät für Rechten der Abschlussarbeiten Albert Ludwig Universität Freiburg. Before she holds her position as a head of international office, she was working at the Erasmus Institutional Coordinator Hochschule Ostwestfalen-Lippe in 2014 and 2016. In 2020, she did a basic training for developing transnational virtual exchange projects uni collaboration. Without further ado, I would like to pass the floor to Ms. Sarah Witte. Ms. Sarah Witte, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Dr. Owen, for this lovely introduction. And yeah, so I will at first share my screen with everybody. Okay, you should now all see it. So hello, everyone. I'm very excited, very happy to be here with you. I saw that a lot of students are joining this lecture and from different places of the world as well, as I heard. So that is, of course, great because as an international person working in an international environment, that's, of course, my passion to work with people from all over the world. So, but yeah, if I start with my presentation, you see today we are talking about the Sustainable Development Goal number 8 and about time management. Of course, the SDG 8 is not time management. You may know that. But I will just briefly explain the link to you or the approach that I chose to present to you today. Because of course there are always a lot of different angles that we can choose to treat a certain topic. So Sustainable Development Goal number 8 is about decent work and economic growth. Well, that's the first thing that of course you have to know. But let's have a closer look to what this is about. So. First, of course, it's actually about raising the per capita economic growth, and especially in the least developed countries. So that is, of course, an issue where a lot of factors are involved. Society, politics, well, the economy that, as you, I'm sure, all know, is linked, is a global affair these days. So that is one point. But another very important point is about economic productivity, which is of course linked to economic growth. So this growth of productivity can be reached by technical innovation, of course, upgrading, diversification, and that in different sectors. So productivity already is an important keyword, of course, because time management, after all, is all about productivity, as we will see later on. But it's especially the last part that I would like to highlight, because it's about supporting productive activities, decent job creation, and also things like entrepreneurship, creativity, innovation, and also supporting micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. So, of course, if we aim to have in the world a global productive economy and decent jobs, what you need for such an economy is also productive workers. For sure, if we want decent jobs, it's also more qualified jobs for skilled workers. And for sure, there are hard skills that you usually will also learn at university, of course, depending on your major, but also soft skills, because I'm guessing that a lot of you are aspiring to a good, decent job where you will be able to take on some responsibility, perhaps even a management position. And so there are certain skills that you will have, that you will need also to boost your own productivity. So that is the link. It's not so far-fetched. It's just that I choose that angle because I want you, after this lecture, to go home with something that you can use immediately, even now as a student, to make your life better by being better organized, by knowing some techniques, and that you will also be able to use in your later job. And of course, especially if you perhaps one day will become an entrepreneur, you will be someone who will create jobs, and you will be responsible for creating decent jobs, and you will need techniques to get it all done in a very good way. So of course, as I said, there are a lot of more aspects to good job creation, right? But let's more talk about what you can do actually in almost every situation to make your situation better. And while saying that, of course, we should not forget that if someone is, for example, working in a production line, then of course means are limited, because there you don't have any real decision about how to structure your work. For example, you will just do what you have to do for a certain couple of hours, and you don't really have you can't really decide on how to organize this and make that better. But still, you could use techniques in your free time. I mean, we all have other obligations as well, and to structure that in a better way. Just so you know, of course, I know that there are very different job scenarios out there. But if we take the premise that we should aspire to create more decent jobs, and it is the SDG 8, then everyone who has such a job could use those techniques that I will be talking about. Okay. So now I would just like to show you the little agenda for today. So we will start with a very short reflection on time in general. Then we will talk a little bit about motivation and goal setting, which is really, really crucial for time management, because time management, as you will see, is not just ticking off tasks of a to-do list. And we will also talk about priorities, and then, of course, about concrete tools and methods of time management. And then we will have a little conclusion at the end. And I hope that we will be able to do all that in within 1 hour, and then we will have time for your questions as well. So, as stated, I would like to start with a little reflection on time. And so I would like to present you two people. They are John and Mailin. So this obviously is John on the picture. And he's quite young and sporty, as you can see, and he works part-time at an IT startup, where he actually earns good money. So what he did is he decided to just work 30 hours a week. So I know you're from different parts of the world. So for example, in Germany, usually a full-time job would be 40 hours a week. So 30 hours really is not bad. And yeah, he has a great passion, which is playing basketball. So he can spend more time on doing that, and also for spending time with his friends or doing whatever he wants, because actually those 30 hours are enough for him to make a living. And so that's just what he does. So that's about John. And then we have Mailin. And her day is actually quite different, because she works full-time at a hospital, and she does a lot of over hours, actually, because she's aspiring for a higher position, becoming head of department. And also she has children at home. So when she finishes work, she takes care of her children. Okay, so very different lifestyles, of course, both good jobs, for sure. And what I would like to know from you now is, who has more time? Yeah, this may sound very very basic, but still, perhaps you could just write in the chat what you think, who of them has more time.
Okay, everyone, if anyone would like to share their comments.
Sorry?
Is there anyone who would like to share their comments? Who has more time?
No one?
The first guy, so
Not me. John, I guess. Okay. Okay, thank you. It seems pretty obvious. You almost all agree. And there is someone saying both of them has the same amount of time. Yeah. Yeah, really, really good. Thank you. Yeah, that was exactly what I was aiming at. So thank you for contributing. Of course, they in practical they have the same amount of time, of course, because we all do. Yeah, one day has 24 hours for everyone, and afterwards it just depends on what you do with that time. Well, this being said, of course, we are not all free masters of our time all the time, for sure. We all have obligations, different life situations. That's clear. But we all have 24 hours. I'm sure you know someone where you think, oh, how is he or she doing it? He or she must have so much more time. His or her day must have 40 hours at least, because it's not possible to do it all in the same amount of time that I have. And of course, there are people, for example, who need 5 hours of sleep, and they are good to go, and others might need 8 hours of sleep. So there are a lot of factors in your private life. But still, I think it's good to remind oneself that, well, at the beginning, we are equal in front of time, and everyone has 24 hours. And there's also always some room for for seeing how you can fill this time up and organize it. So that was just to begin with. So then I would like to continue with motivation, because that is also a very important topic, because well, I think motivation and also discipline, if you look at successful people, people very often assume that those are the 2 points that make success. And of course, for some extent, that's true. But there are also a lot of misconceptions about motivation. So that's why I start with what motivation is not, because a lot of people, they tend to think that it's a fixed characteristic, so that you are just born a motivated person or a lazy person, perhaps, right? And that is actually not true. Psychologists say that there is a tendency. So there are people who get easily motivated by things, and other people who may are not motivated so easily, but still for everyone, there are things who will motivate him or her in life. So that is for sure, and it's not that some people just have it and others don't, and that's also important to know. So if you think I'm never really motivated, then you perhaps just haven't found the thing that would really motivate you, but there is something for everyone. And another very, very frequent misconception is that money is always the best motivator. So, of course, if we talk again about decent jobs, a decent paycheck is part of it. That's for sure. So if you're convinced you're in a job and you earn too less money, that's of course a motivation killer. But at the same time, if you get a raise at a job, this may motivate you for a little amount of time, but then you just get used to it. And if you get another raise, it will be the same again. We human beings will just get used to new situations. And that is why it is not true that money is the thing that motivates, well, sustainably. Yeah. So that is to see what motivation is not, or what are common mistakes. But what is it actually? It's a little more complicated, because it's more a result of a process, and it really depends on the situation. So there are some key components as a motivational process. One is your own motivational force. So everyone has something like an inner drive. Okay, it depends on the relation between tension and relaxation in you, and this will this will influence your inner drive to do things. So that's something that's actually in you, but also depends on the current situation. It is not fixed. Okay. Then very, very important, self-efficiency. That is also interesting, because culture has an influence on that. And since we're here from different cultures, well, self-efficiency actually, it just means it's that you believe in your own capability to change things, to change your own circumstances, to achieve something by yourself. And if we look, for example, at the American culture, you perhaps know that they have a strong belief in self-efficiency. So they're, generally speaking, of course, most Americans think that it's up to you to just create your situation. Okay, so it's very high belief, and this is typical for individual cultures. In more collectivist cultures, this may be a little less the case, but this is just a tendency, of course. So self-efficiency is the belief in being able to change things. Then there also is time perspective. That just means that perhaps something will motivate you today, but not in 5 years. Of course, there's the right time for things. So this plays a role as well. And then there is emotional intelligence. This is, you could see it as your inner advisor, your feelings that will also make that you will get motivated by something or not. So four key components. And then that's not even all, because there are also willpower, which would be the same as discipline, I'd say, your personal competencies, and of course the external circumstances. And together with those key components, this is what will make you succeed or fail at the end. So there are a lot of things that have to come together to make you really motivated for something. And personal competencies, of course, it's important. Perhaps you really have a dream. Let's say you would like to become a famous singer, and you're willing to do everything for it, but your voice is just not very good. So then chances are, of course, very low that this will happen. So yeah, so motivation is very important, because discipline alone won't be enough. So because time management will of course also will demand a certain amount of discipline, and it only works if there is real motivation behind it. That's why I start with that. Okay. And there is something that is closely linked to motivation, which would be goals, of course. So goals also have some characteristics, because some people might confuse goals with wishes. For example, if you say you want to become a millionaire in 5 days, well, that's not a goal, that would be a dream or a wish, but it's very unlikely to happen. And you can't really have those factors. So a real goal would be realistic, challenging, attractive, measurable, and significant. Realistic, of course, like I said, the millionaire thing won't really get you far, at least not if you want to be a millionaire in 5 days. Perhaps in 10 years, who knows, if you have a good plan, could be. Challenging is important as well, because if it's something that is already at the tip of your fingers, then there's not a lot that you have to do to reach it. Realistic but challenging. You have to balance those two a little bit. Attractive sounds obvious, but that the goal should be attractive for you. But sometimes, of course, goals are also influenced by other people. Perhaps your parents want you to become a lawyer, but it's not really what you want to do. So you adapt that goal, but it's not really your goal. So it won't be such a high motivator either. Measurable is important. Measurable, of course, in time. So if you set a personal goal, you should always have a timeline to when you want to reach or achieve something. And also, let's say you want to lose 5 pounds. It's better to say, I want to lose 5 pounds than I want to lose weight. So it's also about being concrete. And the significance means that if you reach the goal that you set for yourself, that this will really make a difference in your life. Okay. So those are really, this is the foundation for time management. Perhaps you expected that I would just dive in directly with some methods, but actually without that, it won't work. And why is that? Well, because if you don't have a specific goal, you will not be able to set priorities. And actually, time management is all about prioritizing. So it won't work, and you need to know what you want to be able to set your priorities. Okay. So having said that, now it's a question on how to decide what is important then. I mean, if you have concrete tasks in front of you, so what is important and what is worth spending my time on? And this is not new at all, but it's still widely used in management literature, and it's quite simple and quite helpful. It's the Eisenhower matrix. Yeah, a super simple system. You will just have 4 quadrants, and you have the factors important, not important, urgent, not urgent. Okay. So the obvious is perhaps if you have to do a task that is important and urgent, you will have to do it immediately. But if you have different tasks and they are all important and urgent, then you have to see what's the most important and the most urgent one, and then start with that one, of course. Then there are tasks that are important but not urgent, and that's a very interesting category, because that one is often something that will bring you far, actually. Well, an example, okay, let's go back to important and urgent. An example would be your electrical bill is overdue and you have to pay it, okay? So you should do it immediately. If not, you will be left without electricity. But important and not urgent could be, for example, to set up a good LinkedIn profile and start working on your network so that after graduation you will find a job. So if you're not like 3 weeks before graduating, it's not urgent yet, but still it's very important to start those things at an early stage. So yeah, that would be an example for that. So you can read there in the blue box, it's decide. And I mean, yeah, decide when you will do it, because you don't have to do it immediately, but it would be important to make some time in your schedule and schedule it for a certain time. Then things that are urgent and not important. I think that's a category that a lot of people are spending most of their time on. And actually it's called the urgent trap. And I know a lot of people who work that way. For example, there are emails coming in and more and more and more, and you are just answering them because you have a feeling that it's urgent, but you will never be able to do the important things because you just, okay, there's a call, I will take it. There's an email, I will answer it. And while here, because it's more a management perspective, they say delegate. Perhaps now you say, okay, but in my life now as a student, I can't really delegate anything to anyone. Mostly not, but for example, let's say you ordered some shoes online and they are waiting for you at the pickup station, and you would have to get them today because afterwards they are sent back. So that's probably not important because you probably have other shoes, but still it's urgent because they will be sent back. But perhaps you have a friend who lives just next to this pickup store and could just get them for you, and you can get them from him another time. So just as an example. And then there's the fourth category, not urgent, not important. Well, best thing, of course, is not to do those things. This can be nice things, of course. So finally watch this new Netflix series that everybody is talking about. It's not urgent, not important, but of course, I'm not saying you're not allowed to have fun. It's just perhaps don't do it when you are supposed to be to do really important things, but do it in your free time. Okay. So yeah, this is if you know your goals and you have your priorities, it will be very easy then to sort your tasks using this template. And of course, you can also just put ABC and prioritize things. But also, it's really good to have this in mind, because we tend to do just the important stuff and think everything is important, and it really isn't. So Then let's go on to one of my favorite books, actually, which is called Eat That Frog. And this is it's a bestseller from Brian Tracy. I don't know, he sold millions of copies, I think, all around the world, has been translated in many languages. And it's a really easy principle that he describes there, but that can be extremely helpful for self-organization. And he starts this book with a quotation of Mark Twain, which says, "If the first thing you do each morning is to eat a live frog, you can go through the day with the satisfaction of knowing that that is probably the worst thing that is going to happen to you all day long." And of course, this frog, it's referring to your biggest and most important task of the day. Because let's be honest, perhaps you know what the most important thing would be to do like now, but you don't really want to because it's hard, because other things are perhaps easier. You want to start with them. And he is of the strong opinion that if you do the hardest thing first, then you have a feeling of success right at the beginning of the day, and that you can do so much more, because actually those difficult tasks, they will also take up space in your brain. Even if you don't start with them and you do something else, but your brain will still already be working a little bit on the other problem. So it actually takes energy from you. But to explain it a little more in detail, it's super easy. Actually, in theory, just in theory, it's super easy. You will just start with the with the most important and biggest task. And if there are several, you will just have to choose which is the hardest, and then you would start with that one. And don't do anything else till you're done with that task. And if you do that, then you will develop a routine to do so after a while. Yeah. And this can actually create something that he calls a positive addiction, because it's like an addiction to success, because psychological speaking, human beings really like it to cross things off the list, and to have, with everything you've done, you have completed, it gives you a good feeling. That's true for all human beings. And yeah, this can be addictive in some way. And if you practice that, and if you just do so, you will get so much more done. It's incredible, actually. And the only problem is it's easier than it sounds, because we all know that human beings, they also tend to go after immediate satisfaction. Okay, it's difficult for us to renounce to something for a later reward. For example, again, if you would want to lose weight, and for that you don't eat cake, and you really like cake, if you ate cake, it gives you a good feeling right away. But it will take some time till you lose that weight and have a reward for that, right? So that's the same principle. But since you get kind of a reward if you get things done, and gives you a good feeling, it can still work. But since we are all weak and lazy human beings, we might need a little more help to do so. And there are some other some more techniques as well. You might know the next one, because I think it's pretty widespread. And again, it's a really easy one, actually. It's a Pomodoro technique. It's not new either. It's old. It's from the 80s, but it's widely used still today, And you can also tell because there are add-ons for browsers, there are apps with the Pomodoro clock that you see there. So it's still widely used because it's simple and effective. So what is it actually? So a Pomodoro is just a time slot of 25 minutes. And you would, when you schedule your work, you would just eliminate all distractions. And I say it like, I know it's not easy for young people, mostly because it means you would have to put away your cell phone, for example. That would be really important. So eliminate all distractions, set a timer for 25 minutes, and then just focus on one task for those 25 minutes. And after 25 minutes, you can take a 5-minute break. And after that, you would start with the next Pomodoro, so with the next 25 minutes of focused work. And after 4 Pomodoros, which would be after 2 hours, you would take a little longer break after 15 minutes. So this actually can be really helpful if you have problems concentrating. Well, perhaps let's say you have your goals and you have your most important tasks that you want to do, but we are all easily distracted, of course. Well, if you try to adapt this method, it will get easier, especially because 25 minutes is not that long. So just to say, okay, I will just really deeply focus for 25 minutes, and then I can take 5 minutes break and I can have a look at my cell phone and answer all my messages that I received during that time. It's easier for most people than just saying, okay, I will just sit at my desk and work for 4 hours without any break and without any distraction. Well, that's a lot more difficult. So as I said, it's a really simple technique. I personally could not structure my whole day with that. Some people may do that, but for some tasks, important tasks, it can be really, really helpful, and I can recommend it. And now I hope it works. I would like to have a quick poll, but I think, no, the code is okay. Yeah, we will just see. You should go to menti.com, just open a new browser window, and then type in the code 9823061. And then there should be a question that you should answer. I see there are the first answers coming in. Okay. So it seems to work. Okay. Let's just see if I can. Okay. Okay, perfect. Continue voting, and then I will have to see how I can share the result with you. Okay, we have now about 50 people who voted. I will try to change the screen, then you should be able to see it. Do you see the live votes now? Can someone confirm?
Yes, it's visible.
Ah, okay. Super, thanks. Okay, around 80 now voted. I will perhaps wait 1 more minute and then we can talk about the results. Okay. So that is really, really interesting because, yeah, the vast majority, as you can see, voted for early morning or night. I mean, night is even, most people said they perform best during the night. That's very, very interesting. I did not expect that, actually. Okay. Yeah, roughly 30% early morning, 40% night, and then the in-betweens don't have that many votes. Okay. And then let's see.
What did you expect, Miss Witte, for the result?
You expected that?
No. From your side, what did you expect?
Yeah. I will just change back to the presentation and then explain. Okay, yeah, we should be back at the presentation. And actually, this is to introduce, yeah, the energy level that you have during the day. And there are actually typical, well, average values for that. 1 second. So I know that there's something written in German, but don't worry. So that would be the average energy level during the course of the day. So that is just what it says. This is average energy level. This is the energy at the left side, and then there's just the time, okay? And there you see that there usually is a high in the late morning, what not a lot of people said as their best time was, I think, 14%. Actually, it's roughly between 9 and 11 a.m. So I expected that more people would say that this was the best performance time of the day. And then after that, the curve goes down. And then we have another high at the later afternoon, like between 4 and 6 roughly. And then it goes down really quickly. Of course, it's not true for everyone. It's just the average. And then there are other types. Early birds. So that would be those 31% who voted early morning. So you see their energy level is highest, yeah, like after 6, 7, it's raising, and then it's falling down. And you see it's always in little waves. That's normal too, because we usually have like those 2-hour slots of higher energy and then lower energy. But you can still see that it's raising a lot at the beginning and then just subsequently going down until it's really, really low in the evening for early birds. And of course, you probably have heard about that they're owls as well. And it seems most of you are owls. Perhaps it's also a young people thing. I don't know if that changes after your studies. I don't know when you have to get up in the morning. Perhaps your lectures start late and you can you can stay up late and woke up a little later. I don't know, but yeah, there you see it's just the other way around. So a low energy level at the beginning of the day, and then it's subsequently rising. Okay, and well, in an ideal world, of course, you would match your highest priority work, your most important tasks, to your most productive hours. Well, it is not always possible, of course, but as a student, you usually have some flexibility. So if you know, okay, your best time is in the evening, you should schedule your work where you have to really concentrate accordingly, which also means because before I presented to you the eat that frog philosophy. So for me personally, for example, because I'm the average type, it really works if I start with my most important things in the morning and do it in the first half of the day. But now, of course, if you are an owl, you should structure it a little differently. It's always an individual thing. So you would perhaps schedule them for the evening, but then really do them. That would be the important thing. So if we talk about decent job creation, again, the SDG, it's clear that the better your job is, the more flexibility and decision room you have, the more you can adapt to those things and to live that. Because if you work in agriculture, for example, you will have to live with nature, and you don't have that freedom, of course. But if you work in a good position, you can schedule your meetings, for example, in the afternoon. If you're not that, if you don't have a high energy level then, and concentrate more in the morning on reports and stuff where you really have to concentrate, for example. So in an ideal world, you would know your performance course and then act accordingly. And I'm already at the last method that I would like to present you. I'm sure you know those two guys. Does anyone want to write in the chat who they are? At least one of them you know, but you probably know both. Yes. Very right. It's exactly. Thank you. It's Elon Musk and Bill Gates. So, so they both do time boxing or time blocking. It's really the same. It's just two different names for it. And it's another, time management technique, which again is in theory really simple, as a lot of things that I present here. But then to really do it is perhaps another thing. So of course, those two are extremely successful and extremely busy. They have incredible schedules. So they have to plan everything in advance. If not, it would just not work, because their working hours are just incredible. So how does this work? Second. Okay. Oh, yeah, there's the definition. So time boxing is the practice of setting a fixed amount of time for each task and integrating the resulting time blocks into your schedule. So just let me, no. Okay. There are two things about that. Well, first is some people would not like to do that because it's really, really fixed. If you to plan everything in advance during your day, including breaks and everything, and to just stick to it, it's extremely effective, but it's clear that it's not for everyone. A big advantage of that is when you do a task and you are done with it, you don't lose any time thinking about, okay, what will I do next? Because you already planned everything. You can just go on, continue with the next thing. And you have to schedule also your breaks, and because breaks is always important. You saw the energy level, always 2 hours, then it goes a little down. You have to rest a little as well to be productive. And you can be extremely effective with that. And if you have a lot of different things to do, it's a good thing to plan in advance. But I understand completely people who say I would not want to do that either. Just to have an example that's perhaps a little closer to your reality. I mean, I don't know, but I tried. So Again, also for time boxing, you can download apps and add-ons for browsers. There are a lot of tools. I know people like that, but a piece of paper or usual calendar does it just as well. So you could have a schedule like that for one day. Okay, if you are if you follow the advice and you have like 2 very important things to do, you have to write an essay for social science, and it has to be done very soon. And there's a big history exam coming up. So those are both urgent and important. So you would do those tasks first. And to be sure to concentrate, you could use the Pomodoro technique. So which means for the first task, for example, if you start at 9 and you work for 1 hour, you would of course do 25 minutes, have your 5 minutes break, 25 minutes, and so on. So you would start with those 2 important things. And then you would schedule a longer break after the 2 hours, perhaps get some fresh air. And then at 11:15, you would perhaps update your personal CV because you are looking for an internship. So that would be a task that may be important but not urgent. So you could schedule that as well. And then you would go for lunch with a friend for an hour, meet a study group, and then perhaps also go for a run. Things like workouts it's a good idea to schedule them as well so that you will make time for them, okay? So that is of course just an example, but you see it's actually not hard at all. But one thing that can be difficult is to estimate how much time you need for certain tasks, okay? There's one thing that we tend to underestimate the time we need to accomplish a task. Okay, we are optimistic humans. We think we think best case scenario. For example, if you go to school by car and you know if there's no traffic jam, you need 20 minutes, you will schedule 20 minutes. Although you know there's always traffic jams and you will take 40 minutes. But okay, you know what I mean. So that's something you have to learn a little bit then. And also for that, of course, there are apps where you can just track the time you need to do things. It's Toggle, for example, is one that I know. So you just type in the tasks, push start, and when you're done, you can push finish, and then after a week, you see how much time you need for doing certain things. Yeah, so for people who like to be very, very organized, this could be a good thing, and you won't forget anything important. That's another big advantage, of course. Yeah, and that was the last tool, so to say. But yeah, to end, I would like to mention another thing. There's an interesting book which is called Essentialism, and the whole principle of it is less but better. And I really like to end with that one, because perhaps, which would be good, you are now motivated to be more productive, to get things done, to try out some of the techniques, which is good. But it would be a mistake to just put everything you can think of into your schedule. Yeah. So don't forget the beginning, the priorities, the Eisenhower metrics, to also decide what is not important, what's perhaps only urgent, or not even urgent and not important. And while his approach helps, his approach is kind of extreme. So if you read his book, yeah, one can be critical also about this, because he really says you should really do one thing and not do anything else, not look right or left. And okay, it's a little bit extreme, but the principle is very good. So he differentiates between the non-essentialists and the essentialists. And a non-essentialist would say, I have to. So I have to do all those things. It's not in my free will. I just have to do them. And everything is important, everything. So I will just put everything into my schedule. And then, of course, at the end, you have to ask yourself, how can I fit it all in? Whereas an essentialist would say, I choose to. So I choose to make this my priority and to start with that. And only a few things are really important. And that's almost true. That's almost always true. And then he asked himself, what are the trade-offs? So this may seem trivial as well, again, but we tend to forget there are a lot of things, there are a lot of impressions that we get from everywhere all the time. And it's not always so easy to remind oneself that not everything is so important or urgent. But I really like this picture taken from his book, which is illustrating what happens if you try to do a million things at the same time, and you have to put a little bit of effort and a little bit of energy into every little thing you do, or if instead you put all your energy and all your effort in one thing, and that can lead you very, very far, of course. You can be, for example, you could try to learn 5 instruments at one time, musical instruments. Then you will be able to do a little bit with every instrument, or you could just decide to learn how to play the piano and just concentrate on that. Then you will maybe become a decent piano player. Of course, it's simple, but I actually have this at my desk. I really think it's a nice illustration. And this is also from his book, and it's also kind of a resume of things we have seen during this lecture, because he says if you do the right thing for the right reason at the right time, then you can reach your highest point of contribution. And the right reason, we had that, right? If you have your goals set clear, you have a right reason for every goal, and there is a right time, and also for every task, depending on your energy level, depending on the personal freedom you have, etc. And then the right thing, depending on your priorities, and then you will, then you can get far. You can get the best results. So, just to conclude quickly. What I would advise you to do at first is really to reflect on your personal goals and to write them down. It's always better to write them down to make sure that they match all the goal characteristics, so that they are realistic, challenging, attractive for you, measurable, and also significant. And the next step, set your priorities according to these goals, perhaps with help of the Eisenhower metrics, why not? Do the hardest task first and make it a habit, so that will program you to success in your, in your everyday life, actually. So the eat that frog method. And you can use the Pomodoro technique, for example, if you want to do focused work, and don't forget to get rid of all distractions. And if you have the freedom to do so, and structure your day considering your personal energy curve or energy level according the time of the day, of course. And don't forget, it's better to do less but better, and that will get you really, really far. And independently from what is going on where you are at the moment, and what the possibilities are, of course, you can always try by those individual decisions and methods to make your life a little better to get, you can use it to get more things done, of course, but also just to get more things done in a shorter time and to have more freedom to just create, to think. You will have more freedom to be innovative or creative. So those are all very valid points to live a happier life and hopefully also for you to find a good job and being able to make the most of it, or even create jobs one day, and don't forget those principles. Yeah. So here are some reading recommendations. I'd say I will perhaps leave this slide for now, and then I don't know if there are already any questions for me, because that's it from my side for my presentation, and I thank you very much for your attention, everybody.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Witte, for your very insightful presentation. So if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to press the raise hand button, or just speak up, turning on your microphone and speak up. Okay, maybe I will I'll read some comments. Thank you, it's really helpful. Thank you so much. Now I feel so motivated. I think we are in the international office, ITS. We are feeling motivated as well. So you were telling us about like being an early bird. I remember during my PhD days, I was more an owl, and now I'm more an early bird. So I would just pass out at 10 p.m. But during my PhD days, when I had to write my dissertation, I will stay up until like 2-3 a.m. And I remember like I only slept for 3.5 to 4 hours in 6 months. So
Wow.
it was very intense. So okay, I think we have questions here. Let me check. Okay.
Just a little tip, of course, for all of you, because I know it was still a lot. I mean, it's not complicated techniques, but it was a lot. Of course, under the names of it, you find great YouTube videos that will explain it again. They are very helpful. You find so much stuff on YouTube if you don't want to buy any books but are interested in just learning more about one of the techniques. That would be the way to go, to just get a little more more knowledge about it, or that would be my advice.
Okay, thank you so much. So we have a questions here in the chat box. Sherphone Wallace from UITM Malaysia. Hi, I have a question. I get really anxious when I start thinking about time or my assignments in general. I've tried so many ways like writing them down and whatnot, but I still can't do it. What should I do?
Oh yeah, that is a difficult question, I think, because well, first, thanks for the question, but because I don't know what your fear is behind it. If it's just, I mean, if it's that you can't do it all or not good enough, or what the reason is why you feel that anxious, I can imagine that it must be really, really hard. I mean, in theory, the best way, of course, is always to start and perhaps again to think about perhaps you have a lot of assignments and there is something that stresses you out the most, to really try to force you to start with that one, to get it out of your way quickly, remembering the eat that frog method. But also, yeah, perhaps asking yourself why it is that it stresses you out that much, if there's a real reason, or if perhaps in the past you always did well anyways, you felt anxious, but then you did succeed after all. So yeah, I think it's difficult to answer, because I don't really know what lies behind that fear.
Okay, thank you. I think it's also needed courage to eat that frog as well, right? Taking the risk. I would like to move to another questions. It's from Natasha from ITS. Inside my mind is I'm 80% procrastinator. I tried so hard to remove this habit to stay in track with my schedule, but I only do that for maybe 3 hours, and after that I kind of lost focus and start to procrastinate again. But after realizing that, I start to stay in my track, that even though I wasted time before realizing it. So what should I do?
Okay, I feel you. No, because, well, first of all, the tendency is so human, and also it's not a direct answer to your question, because if that happens to you every day, of course, it would be better to change it, and because it would be better for you as well, right? Because afterwards most of the time it gets stressful if you wait till the last minute, because you need the pressure, perhaps. Very human as well, but not really helping. But one thing you should all keep in mind is that we all have bad days as well. So don't try to force yourself to be the best, most productive human being on earth each and every day. So be a little gentle to you as well. That would be important. But yeah, if you have that tendency a lot, well, there's also the question why. I mean, perhaps because you figured out that it always worked out for you still. So you know you can't procrastinate, because you will still succeed at the exam, or it never happened anything bad to you. So you just keep on with that habit. But of course, if you manage to make yourself a schedule and to really stick to it a little bit better, you will see that it's so much more rewarding to be able to end your work day, study day at a certain time, and then be really free, because that's a big difference. As of course, if you like to procrastinate and you don't know what you do, then watch a series, TV series or something. This is nice, but you will still have in your head that you still have to do stuff, right? And it's so much better for you, also concerning stress and tension, to get it done first, and then you can really relax. So I can just advise you to try again to schedule your tasks, and also schedule perhaps longer breaks if you know that you need them. Then it's not procrastinating, but it's just planned breaks. Of course, you can have those. Perhaps you're putting too much pressure on you, and then just run away from it because because you actually do need a break. This could be as well. But then you will see if you can manage it that way, that it's really nice to actually end your day and being really free about it, and to have a good feeling about the success that you had that day.
Thank you so much. So we received some questions that related to multitasking. So we got that question from William Alexander Garcia Leonardo, and I think I saw from Faris Irshad from UITM. So how about your opinion about multitasking? Is it Is it working for us?
I really don't think so. I really think that multitasking is a myth. I can understand why people tend to do it, but there are a lot of studies. If you just Google it, I don't have anything in my mind, anything in specific right now, but there have been a lot of studies. If you think back on the illustration about focus, that's actually it. If you do several things at the same time, you won't get far with any of them. If you concentrate on one thing and then do the other afterwards, you will be much more effective and productive. And that is, yeah. I know that we all do like to do several things at the same time, but it's not helping your productivity. It's the contrary.
Okay. Yeah. So I think we can move to another question. So, okay, it's from Saja from UITM. Me and my husband both is currently further our study in PhD and lecturer. Would you advise how we could still keep in track? Sometimes I feel anxious whether I could finish all my tasks that I have been listed at early in the morning.
I did not get the beginning of the question. Sorry.
So, Saja from UITM, me and my husband both is currently further our study in PhD and as a lecturer. Would you give us an advice how we could still keep in track? Sometimes I feel anxious whether I could finish all my tasks that I have been listed at early in the morning.
Okay. Yeah. Of course. I mean, I guess that PhD studies is really one of the most stressful things, very demanding, very time consuming. So I don't know if you can't solve this problem 100%. I just think it's a hard and busy time of your life, probably. But it looks like you may be scheduling too much things into one day, because that is after all is not helpful. If perhaps if you remember what I said about with the problem about time boxing for many people is that they underestimate the time that they need for certain tasks, and perhaps you do that. You think you can put a lot of things into your schedule, and it's just too much because you perhaps think I can do this within 2 hours, but you need actually 3 hours. And of course, by scheduling it in a different way, you won't get done more at the end of the day, but it will feel better because you will have a feeling of success at the end of the day and not a failure. So I think that would be my advice then, because then you would hopefully also stop feeling anxious or feeling bad about it. So what you could do really is for 1 or 2 weeks to try to track the time you spend on the different tasks, and then to see if you could plan accordingly and just take a little bit out of your busy day, and then hopefully that would help you.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Witte. So maybe I can share my experience, because when I did my PhD, I came with my family, so I have to juggling between working on my dissertation, taking care of my family, and also I have a full-time job as a research assistant. So it's quite intense. It was quite intense. So I think the strategy that Ms. Witte has presented in her slides about make a priority about things that you have to do about your activities will help you a lot. So I wish that I knew about your presentation about your material, Ms. Witte. I think it would help me a lot during my PhD days. Thank you so much. So there's a question from Omilik Joyce Mary from E1. Hi, this is my question. During this pandemic, we are using online mode of learning in school, which makes me loss of focus because projects and activities are piling up, and it makes me more pressured and stressful. How can I manage my time finishing those activities on time?
That is interesting because in theory it should not be more work than before, right? If your classes moved online, what I can relate to 100% is if you say, yeah, I have more problems staying focused with online lectures. I think that's true for everyone. If you are at home and it's very tempting to do perhaps things aside, it's a different feeling than being in a classroom, of course. And also for sure the lack of interaction with classmates. I mean, real face-to-face interaction, because it also makes us feel good, of course, talking to our friends and study mates about the problems we have, or just after the lecture, right? Usually you would just say to a friend, for example, oh, I did not get that point, or what did you think about that? And that's a little bit lost at the moment if you're just attending online lectures. Well, with tasks piling up, as I said, I don't know if that's directly linked to the pandemic, because the workload should not have raised, but perhaps the lack of focus if you're not staying at home, that I can imagine, because it's more difficult for a lot of people to motivate themselves. Some people can only really study in the library, stuff like that. So, but I would perhaps advise you to see if you have enough contact with your study mates, and to see if that can help you. You know, you can also do an online study group, for example, or stuff like that. And then in general, well, for getting your things done, I would just refer to the methods I presented. But yeah, perhaps it's also a social issue that's behind it.
Yes, thank you so much. So there's an interesting question from Arfilda Putri Herdiansyah from ITS. Sometimes we cannot predict it. What will tomorrow happen after we scheduled our activity? If there are disturbances that we cannot predict, what should we do? Because for me, I will become disappointed for myself if I can do the activities as scheduled.
Yes, thank you so much for that question. That really is an excellent question, and something that I forgot to talk about, actually, because you're completely right. There are always unplanned things, of course. That's just life, right? And one thing is to really, if you plan ahead, to plan enough time for your tasks, and also to plan a little bit extra for just unforeseen things. And this could be, I mean, for me, in my office, I would have scheduled extra time because I know, okay, perhaps some of my staff members will need something from me or whatever, or there's an important call or something. But for you as a student as well, there can be a lot of things, of course, that you did not predict. But then, so you can schedule a little time on top. And then, of course, if it happens and you can't stick to your schedule, don't be too hard on yourself then either. I mean, I know, of course, it would be a little disappointing because it's a really good feeling if you get everything done that you planned in advance. But you yourself will know at the end of the day if it was really something that needed your attention and that you had to do, or if it was perhaps more a distraction that you could have gotten out of it, perhaps sometimes as well. And then just reschedule a little bit, have a look at your schedule for the day and see if you can move some of the less important tasks that you scheduled for your less productive hours, perhaps for the next or the following days. And then don't be too hard on yourself. Of course, you can always reschedule. It has to be a little bit flexible. It's good to have a good plan, but replanning is part of it. So thank you so much, because it's a very important thing I forgot to mention earlier.
Oh, that's very nice suggestions. Like, it's okay for it's good to have a plan, but to reschedule it, it's also part of it, right? Okay, that's I really agree with that. So so there's another questions from Marshanda Febriana Putri. What will be the criteria that shows us that we have a good time management?
Yeah, good question as well. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, if you have goals, and I'm sure we all have goals in life, and you find the best way to reach those, where you will need the time management skills for, then you know that it worked, of course. But yeah, it's not that simple. And I also think if you now want to try out some of the things I presented, that's really good, but also give yourself time. Don't try everything at the same time. Just take your time and look what could work for you, how you feel with it. And you will feel a difference if at the moment you don't manage your time that well. You will, of course, feel the difference, because you can do a lot more if you are more productive. You don't have to put more work hours into it, but you can do more in less time, and that will be the factor that will show you that you have a good time management at the end. There are real results behind it. That's a good thing about it. And it doesn't even take long to see those results.
Oh, okay, thank you so much. So, do you think that to be someone who is organized, it's personality, or it's something that we can exercise?
I think it's a little bit of both, of course. I mean, we know that I was thinking about starting my presentation with joking about I will show you how to be organized as a German, because of course it's a current common stereotype. But there are very messy people in Germany as well, be sure. No, but yeah, of course, there are people who, from their personality type, are more structured, and of course it will be a little bit easier for them to adapt those methods. But after all, I think everyone can find the right methods for him or her and adapt them. Think about Elon Musk again, for example. He's an incredibly creative person, right? He says that he spends, I think, 80% of his time in engineering and in designing, and not with business, organizing, administration stuff. But he has to reach his very high goals. He has to be 100% organized, because if not, he could not do it. So I think with really strong goals, there comes the motivation that will help people who are perhaps not that structured in general, also to adapt and to stick to some of those principles. And I don't think that everyone who's successful is a very organized person. No, I don't think that's the case. I really think everyone can do it, but of course you have to see what's a good match for you. As I said, like time boxing your whole day, I don't think it's for everyone. Some people will just feel too many restrictions then in their day. It can be incredibly effective, but if it makes you unhappy, what's then the use of it, right? And then there are perhaps other strategies that will help.
Okay, thank you so much. So there's another question from Asma, UITM Malaysia. Hello, Dr. Sarah. Some people said that having a lazy day in a week, meaning that not doing anything but just rest and sleep, can help our body be more effective on next days. What's your opinion regarding to the belief?
Yes, I would agree. Also, when I was a student, where you of course can study all the time if you want, I always took one day completely off and did not do anything for school. So I also think that you need to recharge your batteries. Perhaps there are people who say, okay, I don't need a whole day, but for me, it was the right thing. I think a lot of those things are a little bit individual, of course. But if you can do it, and I myself, for example, I noticed that I could start the next week better and more productive if I had a whole day of rest. So it was really obvious that I needed that. I don't think you can say that everyone really needs that all the time. But as I said, breaks are very, very, very important, and to get a good rest. So I would recommend it if you can take a day off and just have this day for yourself and do things that you like and that are good for you. Then I would absolutely do that.
Yes, I have to be agreed with that, Miss Witte, because I did several breaks. I will just go to ice cream shop or eat chicken wings. That's my comfort food. So I will read some questions in the chat box from Shafika, ITM. Hi, thank you for the informative sharing. I have a question. What is your tips on dealing with sudden calls while concentrating doing the prioritized work? For example, a friend suddenly calls for help, mom asking to help with her social media, or should I actually entertaining the calls, or should I ignore it?
Yeah, well, my tip, if you really want to be productive, would be in your productive time and your focused time, not to answer it. I mean, of course, if you take the call and then you will already be out of your work, you will be out of focusing. And even if you say, okay, I just can't right now, you could also, for example, if it's your mom or your friends, you could tell them, okay, now in the afternoons, I'm always studying and I really need to concentrate. So I might not answer the phone then, but I will call you back later. And since you usually should schedule breaks as well, you could of course just take your time then a little later and call back. So that's how I personally do it, because well, with the call you never know how long it will take. And of course you should help your friends and family in need. No question, but usually it can wait for a little bit. And if not, okay, if you have then within 10 minutes you have 20 calls from the same person, okay, then I would definitely call back immediately if it seems like an emergency. But most of the time really it's not. So you could let them know before, if you know when your most focused time is, that you won't be able to answer. And I really advise you to put your phone on silent mode and to put it away for the time when you really have to concentrate, because that's, I know it's hard for a lot of people, but it's the best thing you can do.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so I think we can do one or two more questions, and then we can wrap up this lecture for this evening. So is there anyone who would like to ask your question directly to Mr. Witte? Maybe from, okay, Betty Burhan from UITM. Would you like to?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Betty, could
Yeah, sure.
yeah, sure. You can ask your question directly to Miss Witte.
Okay, thank you. Hi, Miss Sarah. Thank you
Hi.
for the presentation today. It was very helpful, and so a lot of info I had today. I have a question. So I'm a student and currently very busy with my assignments and assessment tasks and everything, and we've been chasing a lot of due dates, and the due dates are actually very in a short gap. The due are very short in gaps, and I always procrastinate when I'm doing my assignment, but there's time where I manage to submit my assignments on time or earlier. Then I should feel relaxed, but instead I cannot relax. I cannot chill. I think that I need to do something. I feel anxious, nervous, and I feel that there might be something missing or something that I did not finish yet. But I'm pretty sure that I already managed to finish my assignments completely. So I would like to ask for your advice. What should I do to overcome this feeling? Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you very much for the question. So if I understood you right, you managed to do your assignments, your tasks, your work, but then you feel like it's not finished yet. It's perhaps not good enough. There is something missing, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I finished earlier, so I should feel relaxed, but I didn't feel relaxed at all. I feel anxious and nervous.
Yeah, that's difficult a difficult question, because I don't know where this feeling again comes from. I mean, if you usually get good feedback for your assignments, you should feel comfortable, right? You should trust on your own capability. If you have done it a lot of times and it was always good enough for you. Of course, we tend to have very high expectations of ourselves. I mean, perhaps it's just that you're not alone with having those fears and thinking, oh, perhaps it's not good enough. I did everything, but perhaps it's not enough. I think that's quite common, but it's but of course you shouldn't feel that way, especially if you get a good feedback usually. I can just advise you to try to not to push to put too much pressure on you, because it looks like, I mean, it seems like how you describe it, that it is completely fine and enough what you're doing. So you should perhaps just try to be happy with that, and to be proud of what you achieve.
Okay, Betty, does it answer your question?
Yes. Thank you so much.
Okay, you're very welcome. So I think we can go for the last question. Hold on a second. From Valencia Gabriel Zalfitri Liafan, ITS. Valencia, are you here? Hello, Valencia.
Hello.
Hi, Valencia. Would you like to ask your question directly?
Oh, okay. So my question is actually about, from what I read, that if you want to measure time management, we can measure it using productivity. And in my opinion, productivity it doesn't always work, because productivity affected by our environment. It's like if we don't feel comfortable, or if our environment too crowded, so that will cause our productivity to low. So is there any other option to measure the time management besides using productivity?
I think that's difficult to measure it with other factors. I mean, as I said, there are, of course, you said it completely right. So there are, of course, external circumstances that can, if you get really sick, for example, of course, you can't be that productive, and you probably won't be able to stick to your schedule either. There are a lot of unforeseen things that can happen, that and that then it will still be helpful to know your priorities, of course, because if you can't do as much as you would like, then it's just important to choose the most important things for you that bring you closer to your goals. But the productivity is usually the goal of time management. It's just like that. I mean, you usually want to have good time management to get more done and to be more effective and more productive. So I can't really think of anything else, but it's always it's always relative, of course, because it always depends on the situation that you're into and what your capabilities are at the moment.
Well, okay, thank you. That's answering my question. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Valencia, for giving the questions. So thank you so much, everyone, for addressing your questions to Ms. Sarah Witte. It's been a very wonderful and insightful conversations we have this evening. I think, is there any final remarks from Ms. Witte?
I would just like to thank you all, of course, for attending, and it was really, really nice interacting with you here. Thank you for all your questions, just for actively participating, because that makes me feel good as well. And it was a real pleasure to be here and to be part of this program. So thank you all.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much. So I will give the floor back to the Master of Ceremony.
Thank you, Mailin. Thank you very much, Ms. Witte, for the excellent lecture today. And thank you to Bu Oin for conducting this amazing session. Furthermore, we would like to present a certificate awarding to Ms. Witte as our speaker and also Bu Oin as our moderator today. So the first is Certificate of Appreciation for Ms. Witte as our speaker today. Thank you for coming and willing to be a speaker and provide extraordinary material to us, Ms. Witte. And also the second one is Certificate of Appreciation for Bu Oin as our moderator today. Thank you for taking the time to conduct this interactive session, Bu Oin.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Angie.
Okay, before we end our lecture today, we invite you all participants as well as the honorable of speaker and moderator to take a group photo. So for the participants, please open your camera. Okay, maybe all participants can open your camera because we will take a group photo. And the photo will taken by committee. I will count in 1, 2, and 3. Smile. Okay, and the next page, I will count in 1, 2, and 3. Smile. Oh, okay. And the last page, I will count in 1, 2, and 3. Say cheese. Right. Great. Okay, we've taken a group photo. Then for the participants, kindly fill the feedback form at bit.ly/feedback/GLS that you can see on the Zoom chat room. The deadline for filling the feedback is today at 6 p.m. And we want to remind you, the participants who will get the stamp is the participants who come on time, join this event until the end, and also fill the feedback form. And we also wanted to remind you that we have a GLS this evening and tomorrow with different topic. And of course, it will be interesting lectures, so don't forget to join. Okay, finally, we have reached the end of today's guest lecture series, and we sincerely apologize for any mistakes we may have made in presenting as Master of Ceremony and also as a committee. Thank you very much to Ms. Witte, Bu Oin, and also for the participants for the attention and cooperation. We will see you in the next GLS on SDGs. Good afternoon and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, all.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Witte.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Mbak Nas, Mbak Reni, Mbak Desi, terima kasih teman-teman Angie, Sarah, Pak Irfan, Mbak Nas. Makasih ya. Mbak Reni, congratulations, you're first. GLS SDGs.
Surabaya has been acknowledged for its green public open spaces.
Good crowd, yeah, for today.
The development
193.
and green.
Thank you so much, everyone. Izin live nggih? Makasih, Bu.
Makasih, Bu.
Ya, sama-sama bisa di end. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone for your participation. I will end the session in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.